With Gingy, it's never been easier to add a fully customizable tutorial to your game. Everything from the text to when your tutorial shows up, to how to progress in the tutorial, to all the assets is completely customizable. And to build our tutorial, all we need is an XML file. Let's familiarize ourselves with this file, which you can of course download alongside this project file. Tutorial XML is broken up into lessons. Each lesson has as many sections as you require. Think of them as blurbs of text. In our first lesson, which we've named Welcome Notes, each section has a separate ID, and then we write whatever we wish to appear. This ID doesn't have to be unique, but we recommend you give each section a unique number within the lesson to make debugging easier on yourself. So for example, in the first blurb we have written, Welcome to Gingy's tutorial module. Let's break down the rest of our parameters. The attached item ID parameter makes your blurb focus on one element on your stage. Say for example there's an element you want to draw your player's attention to, or there's a button on the stage that you want your player to click on to proceed with the game. If so, you simply type its ID here. Here we focused in on the button on the stage itself. We've also defined the action as click, but you'll notice at the top there are several actions you can tie to, such as click, drag, window event, and end. You can experiment with these when you've gotten a better grasp of the basics. Click obviously means that you have to click on the focused item to continue with the tutorial. The next parameters I want to draw your attention to are pre-section and post-section. Pre-section is where you can define a function to be called before the current section, and post-section is where you can call a function to be called after the current section. I'll go over these in a bit more detail as we create our project. For our visual parameter, we've set one to arrow right, which will animate an arrow pointing from the right to our object. There are arrows from every direction as well. We set another further visual parameter as oscillating glow, which is a glow that fades in and out around your object. There are other visual cues as well, highlight rect, highlight round, mouse moves, etc. These come pre-built in Gingy. Just note that in order for mouse moves to be visible, just remember that you must define a mouse asset in your settings XML file for your tutorial. Our next parameter is delay. This determines the length that the current blurb will stay on the screen, and just remember that it's in half seconds. If you set it to 0, it won't clear itself until the user clicks on the OK button. That leads into OK annotation. This is the text you want to appear on the OK button. You can write here whatever text you wish, but keep it short because you only have the width of your button. Finally, I want to draw your attention to window location. This determines the position your blurb will appear on screen. Available to you are top left, top right, top middle, bottom left, bottom right, bottom middle, and then of course just middle. Okay. Now let's instantiate our tutorial inside of our game. We've already pasted this tutorials.xml file into our source folder. Now we have to make sure we embed these assets. We've pasted in our tutorial sprite sheet into our assets folder. Whatever names you name these assets in your spritesheet.xml itself must be specified in our settings XML file under the tutorial section. So for example, tutorial window OK button has to point to an asset called tutorial button. In the settings XML file, we can also adjust a few more parameters, such as the color of our glow, etc. Also, you must make sure that keep track of components is set to true if you want the tutorial module to be able to point to your objects on the stage. This is in the general preferences section. Now, in our init function, in our main game class, we're going to submit our tutorial module. It should look something like this. Gingy GUI module, comma, Gingy tutorial module. And finally, our last line of our main game class, once everything else is loaded, will be Gingy tutorial module dot start tutorial brackets, and then our tutorial XML is called tutorials.xml and init. We're pretty much done. Now you just have to make sure to identify the objects you are pointing to inside of your tutorial.xml. See here we have two buttons, and they're called tutorial button and tutorial button 2. And here you can see when we want to point to them, we say exactly the same thing, tutorial button or tutorial button 2. Let's check it out. Here you'll see our tutorials loaded, and I'm just skipping through this quickly. Now, I'd like to add a Facebook Connect section. We'll make use of the pre-section and post-section parameters to allow our user to connect to Facebook so that our app can fetch his first name. Then we can use this in our tutorial dynamically by having dynamic text written in our section's text blurbs. I simply have to define these in my code. Let's take a look at my tutorial screen. You'll see 2 Gingy GUI buttons with multiple backgrounds. After these, I'm also going to submit our function with an attached key so that our tutorial module knows what key name points to what function. Okay, so Gingy tutorial module dot submit function definition, fetch name we'll call it. And that will be, it will point to the get name from Facebook function. So again, here our function will be get name from FB, and the key I'll use in our tutorial module will be fetch name. Now we can create this function. I've just gone ahead and created this function with an onComplete and onFail nested within. In our onComplete function, which is to say the function that's called upon successful connecting to Facebook, let's submit the user's name as a text variable so we can dynamically have it in one of our sections. So Gingy tutorial module.submit text variables, and we'll call it FB name, and it'll point to FB connection.firstName, which is a string variable. Now when I type FB name in squiggly brackets inside our tutorial module, the name of our user will appear. Let's finally just add this lesson into our tutorial XML. So I'm going to call it Facebook Connect, and the first text will be let's connect to Facebook. The second text will be when you're done, click the right button. And the third text will be thanks for signing in and the user's name. So thanks for signing in. And then in squiggly brackets, FB name. Now in our first section, let's change our OK annotation to, for example, OK. And let's move the window location to the bottom right. And I'm actually going to have all 3 of these windows appear in the bottom right. Okay, now for our second section, as our attached item, let's have our tutorial button 2. And in the pre-section, we'll have it point to the function fetch name. So before this section appears, the fetch name function will be called. And as an action, we'll have it be clicked. So that when the button is clicked, the next section will appear. And for a visual, why not? Let's set it to oscillating glow. And for OK annotation, let's just say great. And now for our third parameter, all I'd like to do is change our delay. Let's set it to 1 for now. And I'm going to make our OK annotation sure. Perfect. Now if we preview what we have so far, And skipping through this. And here we get to the Facebook Connect section. Let's connect to Facebook. And you'll see that the pre-section function is called. And now we'll click the right button. And it'll use our name. Fantastic. Of course, if it's the first time logging in, a dialog box will pop up asking the user for their permission to sign in. But we've signed in under this account before, so it automatically goes through. Finally, you can even have a custom event be dispatched as an action. So the tutorial module will wait for this action to dispatch before moving on to the next section. Let's do this for our Facebook Connect section. I'm going to change our button to a class-wide variable. And then in our onComplete function, I'm going to have it dispatch an event. So button 2, dispatch event, new event, and I'm going to call it FB connected. So once we've connected, our button 2 will dispatch this event. Now we can set our tutorial module to listen to this event before continuing through to the next section. So, changing a few things around here, I'm going to reset this text to say connecting. And I'm going to have the action be FB connected, so that it won't continue on to the third section until FB is connected. And let's just increase the delay a bit. It's a bit short last time. Set it to 5. Now if we preview it, you'll see I don't have to click anymore. The tutorial will know itself when we've connected. Go quickly. And let's connect to Facebook. And you'll see connecting. Thanks for signing in. Perfect. And that's all you need to make a fully functioning advanced tutorial. Thanks for watching.